Well, a good Monday evening, everyone, and welcome to week number 11 of EDU6200. It's hard to believe that we are chugging along here, and in a few short weeks, our course is going to be over. But I'm excited to bring you some new stuff this week as we get closer and closer to that final product and your final goal of learning all you can about school law and ethics in this course. So what I want to do tonight is three things. Number one, I want to talk about what's coming up this week and, of course, what is due tonight, although most of you've already turned it in. So number one, most importantly, I've started grading your discussion form from week number 10. I think like one or two of you owe me some response posts by 11:55 tonight, and that's it. In addition, there's several of you still have to submit WCG number 4, the Compliance Action Plan presentation. WCG number 4 is also due tonight by 11:55 p.m. I saw a whole lot of them in there. I think 11 or 12, which means only 3 or 4 of you still have to do it. That's due tonight. Starting tomorrow, we are on to week 11 and chapter 9 in the text. I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about chapter 9's content. We will talk about it some more during the week 12 video discussion next week. And I believe the week 11 group has already put up their discussion questions. If not, they will be posting them tonight for you to start responding tomorrow. By the way, I did notice more of you had actually already responded by Friday to the initial post, and that's fantastic because it allows your classmates to be able to respond to other people and not just keep responding to the same person over and over again, those 3 or 4 that always post early. So you're going to work on the discussion forum for week 11 based on chapter 9. The other assignment is WCG number 7, the School and Local Community Research Assignment. These assignments are both due on November 5th, which is next Monday. And I'm going to take a moment here and talk to you about WCG number 7. It's a little different from the things we've done before, but remember all these last few assignments in WCG are linked in. So number 7 is going to drive number 8, and I spoke about that a couple of weeks ago. So what you're going to do is a lot of research. This is a research assignment. You're going to look at ways that schools can build collaborative relationships with the community, both families and community partners. So it could be a way to get families more involved in the school. It could be a way to get business partners involved in the school. For example, when I opened Shields Middle School down in Ruskin back in 04-05, our principal had this big goal of us getting community partners involved. We got several restaurants and local businesses involved, and thus we're able to start out our school with partnerships to go in a brand new school. Those partnerships are really, really important. You'll find a brief description about WCG number 7 on page 8 of the syllabus. That is page 8 of the syllabus. Then, if you look at the rubric for WCG number 7, you're going to find there's really just a couple things in here. Number one, you have to find 5 or more resources. You need 5 resources or more on developing those community partnerships, both with families and community members like businesses. Then you've got to look at 5 different ways that effective school leaders build these relationships. And it could be about families or the community or both. Really, this is a building assignment for you of things you will do as an administrator, both an assistant principal and a principal, of ways that you will find community partnerships and get the community to buy into your school. One of the things that we don't have to underemphasize is this idea behind school choice and this idea behind competition in the school market, whether it be from private, charter, public, doesn't matter. Magnet programs, we've talked about a lot of these things already this semester. Our schools are competing with each other for students. We need students to make our schools go. And so you've got to find ways to make your school attractive, and this is one of those areas to do that. So you'll find the rubric in there as well. This assignment's not as complicated as some of the other ones, but again, it's a building block for the upcoming assignments. I do want to note and point out to you that coming up in a couple of weeks, you've got the last few assignments due. So this week we got number 7. Next week is number 6. That is your application of the professional development research in number 5 you did a couple of weeks ago. Right after that, number 10 is due, the observation summary. That's due right before we go to the Thanksgiving break. What I've tried to do during Thanksgiving is give you guys a very, very easy week. You've got some reading, and you've got a discussion forum, and that's it, because I want you working on the final assignment, WCG number 8. You should have gotten all your stuff done before then. Now, here we are. It is October 29th. This assignment is due on December 3rd. It's really important you look ahead now. If you've not yet spoken with your administration about your survey, if you've not yet developed your survey, and by the way, you want me to look at them, I'll be glad to look at them. It's important you do that now. My advice to you is your survey for WCG number 8 should be sent out to your school, families, and community partners sometime in the next week or two so that we are not waiting until it gets to right before Thanksgiving break and you can't get it done because either your district is closed or you guys are closed. Some of you are like us in Hillsborough. You're off the whole week at Thanksgiving. Some of you have Monday and Tuesday school. You're off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Having done this class now for 3 years, I can tell you this semester is difficult when you wait and do that assignment right at the end. So I want you looking ahead at WCG number 8 right now, in addition to number 6 you're going to be working on. So that's it for the actual agenda schedule for this week. You do have a final exam coming up in December. It is on chapters 7 through 13. You'll note that I am not testing you on your knowledge of the Florida school laws. That would be a futile effort. It's really not worth anything. I want you to be thinking about, though, how you can use a school law book, which we're going to come back to again in week 14, 15, and talk about that piece. Now, chapter 9 has some really good information in there for you. And I want you to realize that chapter 9 is written from a national perspective. So when you look at things like licensure, you look at things like terms and conditions of employment, contracts, evaluations, records, all those kinds of things, collective bargaining. This is something that I wanted to talk about, and we're going to spend a lot of time talking about in week 12 during the video discussion piece. So definitely look at the outline I've put up there for you and look at chapter 9. There are 2 types of states out there. There are union states and there are right-to-work states. Now, if you don't know what you live in right now, you live in a right-to-work state. Basically, the union states are all up north and out west like California. They tend to be what they call blue states. They're more democratic states. They believe in unions and they have very, very strong unions, although some of those have started to buckle. You can look at recents that have happened in Wisconsin and other states in the north that are starting to change a little bit. But basically, in Florida, you have a right to work. You don't have a right to strike. It's illegal to strike in Florida. The reason behind that is the teacher strike back in the 60s. The state legislature enacted a law saying it was legal for public employees to strike. That includes police, fire, and teachers and things like that. It's a real interesting read to look at not just this chapter, but also how it affects Florida. Because basically you may have a association in your district. For example, in Hillsborough, we have the Classroom Teachers Association that represents our teachers and other support personnel. However, this organization has very little meat, very little teeth in what they're able to do until a contract is enacted. Once a contract is signed by the board and the union, in this case the CTA in Hillsborough, that's when they get teeth in what can happen and can't happen. That's when they can fight for teachers' rights based on what's approved in the contract. But this also brings with it collective bargaining. What that means in Florida is that this organization can bargain on your behalf. If that didn't happen, each one of you, and we have like 15,000 teachers in Hillsborough County, would be bargaining with the district individually. Can you imagine the chaos of that, of each teacher trying to bargain individually? Some of the laws in the state right now are trying to go that way. They're looking at decertifying unions if you don't have enough membership. These are all things you want to be very, very cognizant of, both as a teacher and administrator, because it affects all of us. Imagine a district that doesn't have a teachers union, association, collective bargaining, and they choose to pay teachers lower. Can you imagine being an administrator in that county and trying to hire teachers when everyone around you is paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more because those counties still have collective bargaining? Just some interesting things to be aware of and how it works and how these things happen. How many of you are tenured in Florida? Not many teachers are anymore because unless you were hired and had 3 years or more experience by 2011, July 1, 2011, you're not tenured in Florida. What tenure basically means is unless you do something really, really bad, it's very hard for them to get rid of you. It's called a continuing contract. Whereas today, many teachers at the end of a year, they can say, we don't need your services anymore. It's like working in a business where they can just fire you at any time, although there is still some due process due to it being a public employee piece. So a lot of interesting stuff in Chapter 9. Definitely read that. Look over my notes that I've put for you there. I've looked at different pages in the book that are going to really help you. And that's some good information that we're going to talk about more during the week 12 video discussion. All right, that's it for tonight because we're at about 10 minutes now. I like to keep them at 10 minutes. Reminder, get your stuff in tonight. Start working on week 11 assignments, and I'll talk to you all during the week.